All right, now let's take a look at the main issue of the day. Now, at least 24 people are receiving treatment after bandits attack a Abuja-Kaduna train on Monday with 970 passengers on board. No official death figure has been released. Fatima Laden reports that the families of the abducted victims said the bandits have contacted some of them to announce ransom. Take a look.
Bandits' attack on Abuja-Kaduna train on Monday has left in its wake anguish and anger among families of the victims. Many are worried over uncertainty about the whereabouts of their loved ones as they trip out the Regasa train station in Kaduna.
Well, yesterday night we called his number, but it was not going. Then he has two lines. Then we called the first one. The first one is not going, while the second one is going, but he's ringing. So he's a close aide, a friend to him that they entered the train together. So he was able to pick the phone. So we asked him about our brother. He said, okay, he don't know where he is, but he left his phone here. Since that time, we have never ever reached him again.
And this lady is fortunate to escape with no injury. She says she is a businesswoman returning from a business trip and hoping to find her goods. She says the trauma is unmeasurable. Today, the Kaduna-Abuja highway is busy with motorists playing the road. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya, has ordered the troops of the Nigerian Army and other security agencies to intensify search and rescue operations to ensure that the kidnapped victims are rescued unconditionally. For Sani Carpenter, the visit of the Army Chief has played a role to his escape. Not all are so fortunate as a brother to a kidnapped victim who do not want to be recorded on camera, so the bandits have reached out to them, but will announce ransom. Kaduna State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs Samuel Arwan declined to speak to journalists. About 24 victims are currently receiving treatment at the 44 Army Reference Hospital, with 9 deaths recorded from the attack. Train services have since been suspended by the Nigerian Railway Corporation. This is the second attack on the train, with the recent being the worst, with deaths, injuries and kidnapped victims. Fatima Salaladan, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Well, there you have it, a report from the Kaduna Axis talking about the Abuja-Kaduna train attack. Now, we have in the studio a security consultant, Dr. Yahuza Ahmad Geto, who joins us this morning to talk about the security dimension to this. Thank you for joining us. Our guest actually, traveled from Kaduna this morning to join us here in the studio. Maybe you give us an idea what it looks like, on the roads, certainly, this morning.
Well, actually, I left Abuja yesterday night. I had a program somewhere in the city and left after around 9:45 p.m. And I came back. I had my morning prayers around Jere. I'm just arriving at your station here at around 7:45 or thereby. I have not seen, despite the fact that these incidents happened, yes, of course, the road has been busy yesterday night and even this morning when I'm coming back. I traveled to condole some of the families and also visit some of the friends to console them and some for other reasons. So, but it is really sad, disheartening, disappointing, disgrace, a shame, and a kind of exhibition of absence or lack of leadership or poor quality of leadership from the security heads or issues around so many things. You know.
Okay, now while coming on your way,
yes.
give us an idea. Is there like presence of security?
I didn't see any. I didn't see even a dog.
Maybe in
I didn't find even a dog when I was traveling, and I didn't find even a dog when I was coming back. So nobody even stopped me, or I didn't see anybody stopping and checking.
But doctor,
from the time I traveled, of course.
Doctor, before we go in, I just want to know: was it because of the attack on the Abuja-Kaduna train rail that you went by road? Have you been going by road or the?
Well, I have been going by road, and I have been using the train, but most of my travels to all parts of Nigeria have been by road.
Okay.
Yeah, so the issue of challenges around didn't really change my travels, because the issue is, you know, I am from village, and I have relatives spread all over the states of northern Nigeria. So if I say I have to use train, if I get to Kaduna, do I have a car that I will use? So I prefer to travel with my car and move around to visit all the relatives and participate in all the activities.
You know, a lot of issues have been raised around this attack, and some of them, you know, points to the issue of our proactiveness when it comes to averting some of these things. When they happen, we always seem like we are caught up by surprise. We always seem like, I mean, wow, we are in shock, and this happened. You know, before this happened, I believe the handwriting was on the wall for everyone to see that there's a likelihood of something like this happening, yet it did happen. And when it happens, we are now seeing that there is a directive for an immediate implementation of some kind of security implementation of some security surveillance, you know, along the rail lines.
Let's stop deceiving ourselves. Why I said we should stop deceiving ourselves, I keep saying and I keep repeating myself, and I'll repeat myself. And I have said this to all the security heads, and I have been discussing it over the years, and I'm going to repeat it now. These criminals operating in north central and northwestern part of the country in the names of bandits, hoodlums, or whatever name you give them, they are known. Their hideouts, if at all there is known. Their locations where they entertain themselves, enjoy their life, is known.
Known to who, sir?
Known to every person on the authority.
Including security operatives?
Of course, right from the ward heads to the president, right from the rank and file to the highest level of authority in the security service. They are known. 99.9% of them are Nigerians. It is only what I keep saying, that 99.9% of the arm importers are foreigners, whereas more than 80% of the arm traders are Nigerians, as well as 99.9% of armed transporters and armed movers are also Nigerians. And yet, we always raise our finger to the Fulani headsmen that they are always the culprits. Yes, of course. They may take the highest part of it, but it's a combination of Hausas, it's a combination of Yorubas, it's a combination of Igbo, it's a combination of all the community members living in northern Nigeria.
So,
just before you come,
known, right?
Just before that, I'm coming. Why? Because if at all they carry arms, they have arms, who supply foodstuff to them, who supply essential goods to them, and how do they get access at a time when a common man is struggling to get a fuel in Kaduna, to move around, to struggle for his heart, to get his to earn what he will survive, take care of himself and his family. How do they have access to get the fuel that they are launching their attacks and doing whatever they can? When they attack the train, those that they kidnap, they did not ask them to move by foot, but rather they pack them in either buses or Sharon or whatever you call it, and they drop. And remember, it is just 15-minute drive. 15-minute drive, not 15 hours. 15-minute drive to Kaduna. And they move away. And after the incidents, it takes the security almost 2 hours before they arrive at the scene. I commend Governor Nasir El-Rufai and the Commissioner for Security and Home Affairs for their due diligence and commitment, because I had the privilege to have some kind of inside efforts they have made in mobilizing the security, but for the security to swing to action, it takes them almost 2 hours.
Okay, now
15 minutes
you
to Kaduna.
You mentioned that these criminals are known.
Yes.
And even the governor of Kaduna State has actually said something in that direction in the past. He said they have their phone numbers, they listen to their phone conversations, they know their cams and all of that. Yet it is difficult to deal with them once and for all. He mentioned a challenge, which he said in the approach, on how the bandits the terrorists are being dealt with. He talked about how that if you rain heavy fire on them, say in Zamfara, for instance, they move on to other areas, maybe Katsina. And then
can I tell you the reasons
Katsina,
for all these diseases?
They now move to Niger. If you go to Niger, they also move to other locations. And he is suggesting that there should be some kind of simultaneous operation that will happen at the same time, so that all of this. So is there a problem with the strategy that we are using here?
Let me tell you the reason for all this deceit before I go into strategy. It is the combination of negligence and sabotage gave birth to corruption and bad leadership.
Can you expatiate more on
that? Of course, there is a lot of sabotage from the cycles of either the security operatives or either the kind of procurement process for providing and equipping our Nigerian security with that will give them the capability in order to face the challenges and face the wrath of the criminals. In our own case, our security has to use segregated shooting. Boop, 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 boop. But for the criminals, they can shoot sporadically because they have the higher capacity than that of our security operatives. I have said it times without number. The case of Benungwari, you have only 2 APC. And this APC that you have available, they have to be taken to workshop for maintenance. So any week, any time that those APCs are not on the Kaduna-Benungwari road, the criminals used to have access to information. And they do attack the military and who are escorting the convoy of commuters to Benungwari or to Kaduna.
Now,
so there is a problem of synergy in terms of the way our security are operating. They kind of compete among themselves between the military. Even in the cycle of military, the Air Force and the Army are competing. Even the DSS and the police. Even within the police, the mobile police and the other ordinary police are competing. And at the same time, huge amount of money have been budgeted during the Buhari administration in the last 7 years. And even Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai have made mention that he spent trillions of money in fighting the insurgents. But yet, they are operating every now and then.
Doctor,
so the attack didn't come to me as a surprise.
Doctor.
When the attack on the airport, I'm coming, Jos, please. When the attack on the airport happens on Saturday, I made mention in a discussion, in a chat I had with about media representatives, that I would not be surprised if something worse than what happened at the airport happened afterwards immediately. And see the result. Why? Because we are not really utilizing, our intelligence is really forced. We don't have, if at all, like mentioned by Governor, that we listen to their conversations. We know them. We know where they are. Like Mohammed have been talking about this and many other principles of the Buhari administration and even the state government. So if you know where they are, and we have the capability, and you have been spending these trillions of money, where is the result?
Okay, now the Minister of Transportation is raising another concern about something about the integrated security surveillance and monitoring solution. Even the president is now also giving that directive to that respect. Shouldn't that have been something that we have in place, you know, even before the train stations begin to work? I mean, the train stations began working in the midst of Nigeria's security challenges. So is it that we didn't foresee something like this happening?
Remember, out of the two words that I said, they gave birth to bad leadership, because the issues is all about bad governance. I said negligence. That exhibits how neglect we are. We live in denials. We always say that we release the money, we budget it. Does that mean we cannot take lessons from what happens in October? When the same attack happened in October, I was in the train. I discussed it here and I discussed it at many forums. Let me ask you, the Federal Minister of Transport have set up a committee of inquiry and to conduct investigation and prosper possible solutions. Nigerian Railway Corporation also said the same committee. The federal government also said the same committee. I cannot really remember exactly if the police, the Inspector General of Police, made mention something like that. But I know the security operatives, the DSS, and the Nigerian Army, as well as even the internal security of the Nigerian Railway Corporation, in collaboration and partnership with other security operatives, have set up another committee. Where are the inputs made? Primary recommendations, secondary recommendations, and other annexes that were provided by those reports. Why have they not been implemented? When Buhari administration, before it comes, part of the promise to Nigerians is they will provide security for life and property as part of the cardinal principles, objectives and pillars of their campaign. So now when you come, before you complete the train and the train stations and also launch its take-up, does that mean that Buhari and his allies, as well as the security operatives who are intimidating public, and also the, what do you call them, the generals, the brigadiers, the colonels, the major generals, the commissioners of police, the directors of the SSS, and the senior directors of the SSS, as well as the NIA, civil defense, immigration, custom, and all the security operatives that are struggling with nail cutters, with wheelbarrow pushers, with calf sellers, with whatever sellers, common sellers, struggling at the train stations, with the general, shaking shoulders, generals, commissioners of police, assistant inspectors of inspectors general of police, okay, DIGs struggling to buy tickets to move just Kaduna to Abuja, just 200 kilometers. Does that mean it was an intentional attempt and they know what they're supposed to do and they refuse to do? And how do they justify? How do they account for the money that have been released? These trillions cornered by the statement made by RFI and cornered by the statement made by the Minister of Finance and other security operatives, as well as the government of Buhari, as expenditure for security. And they have forgotten to provide solutions. Until now, when our people have been murdered, killed, kidnapped, this is a shame, an exhibition of bad leadership.
Doctor, you mentioned the number of committees that were set up after the attack in October last year.
Yes.
Chances are there will be more committees will be set up following this recent attack, the one that happened on Monday. You are, as a security expert, what is the way forward? Well,
the way forward is, one, government should be ready to conduct a root cause analysis to to answer the why, there's the 7 why.
I mean, are we still at that point right now?
Yes, of course. Because we have never...
Don't we know the reasons why these things are happening?
We are predicting we don't know.
Okay, listen to this.
That is exactly...
Listen to this.
Yeah.
The Minister of Transportation,
let me answer this 7 why. Yes.
Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, says, and I quote, this is one of the stories on the front pages of one of the newspapers.
Yes.
He says, we need helicopters, we need drones to tackle insecurity on rail lines. And that's according to him. It appears that we know the solutions to the problem, isn't it?
So does that mean...
And he has also said that he has warned before now.
Does that mean that
we need to install some digital platforms
do we even...
to secure
let me tell you.
No, as a follow-up to his question, so that you take both together.
Yes.
Why is it that it's when attacks like this happen that people come out and say, this is what we need? Because, I mean, these bandits have been operating for a while, and there were chances that they could do more. In fact, in October last year, there was an attempt on a rail track. Why is it now that this has happened that we're saying we want this and that? I would like you to combine the two.
I mean, we know the answers.
Yeah, so. All these governors, all these members in the state, in the National Assembly, who are kind of mocking Nigerians. I saw them yesterday, members of the National Assembly as well as the distinguished senators. They are mocking Nigerians and cracking jokes. Why I say they are cracking jokes? Where were you in the last 7 years that you have been sitting in the National Assembly, and yet you don't know that masses are left at the mercy of the bandits? You have not done anything. I mean, you have not said anything
but to be fair,
until now.
To be fair, some of these lawmakers are also victims of some of these attacks.
Despite that,
so? I mean, we have the
if at all they are
majority
victims,
leader of the
if at all
his own son was
if at all they were victims, why do they sleep?
Okay, are you?
Why do they sleep for 7 years? Okay. Why do they sleep for October to the recent attack? Why do they sleep for the fact that the son of the leader was one time a victim? It could have been utilized as a machinery that will help in developing a strategic action plan that is implementable to deal with the situation and prevent the occurrence of October, as well as prevent the occurrence of what happens just Monday night.
They have been speaking.
Okay, doctor.
Speaking is different.
Lawmakers,
okay, doctor, before you continue.
Speaking is different.
Doctor.
Action is different.
Okay, doctor.
I said negligence and sabotage gave birth to corruption, corrupt government, and bad leadership.
Okay, doctor,
and
before you continue.
This is the yield we are using in order to cultivate the 2023 emergence of another concept or quantum of a leadership. Because it is too late for anybody who felt who is going to make
doctor,
any impact.
Before you continue, let's take a report on the Senate yesterday where they called on the security operatives to do more and to ensure security.
Abuja-Kaduna route is a strategic one in the northern part of Nigeria. It is a major route leading the northern parts to other parts of the country. As the bandits have chosen to threaten its relevance, so also the need for stakeholders to wage greater war against them. Senate has therefore come up with new resolutions as lawmakers resume sitting this week. The new resolution followed a motion sponsored by Senator Uba Sani, who drew the attention of the upper legislative house to the bandits' attack on Kaduna-bound train on Monday night. Senator Sani recalled the attack on Kaduna-bound train carrying over 970 passengers around Kateri-Rigaza axis in Kaduna, just few kilometers to the Rigaza train station at about 7:45 p.m. on Monday.
Notes that these latest attacks are aimed at instilling fear in the people and destroying the economies of our local communities. It is disheartening that these enemies of the people are getting emboldened by the day. They are becoming more brazen. These blood-curdling bonfires have no regard for human life. They have no place in civilized society. Notes also that unrelenting attacks call to question the strategies and tactics being adopted by security forces.
A cross-section of lawmakers noted that Kaduna had become the new theater of insecurity, concluded then that terrorists have declared war against Nigerians and it is time for Nigeria to declare war against the terrorists.
It is safe and right, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, to conclude that terrorists have declared war against Nigeria, and I think it is time for Nigeria to declare war against these terrorists. Mr. President, we shouldn't allow this situation to continue, where we lay back, they come to attack, then we repel, we try to do damage control and the like. I think it is time for these terrorists to be seriously taken as a national security threat, and we should declare a war against them forthwith.
In Kaduna in person, Kaduna town, and Kaduna state as a whole, no day they don't kill over 300 in a day. Every blessed day, no day that they don't kill souls, more than 300.
Mr. President, since we're inaugurated here, discussions on the security of our country has taken a large chunk of our discussion here. And I believe and feel that it is time enough for the appropriate authorities to have taken decisive actions to address the security in our country. Mr. President, Kaduna has become the new theater. And Kaduna is where the highest military institutions are housed.
The Senate accordingly urged the Nigerian Army and the Air Force to carry out sustained bombardment of terrorist enclaves in the area, with a view to flushing them out and restoring peace and stability to the affected communities. Frequent attacks on the Abuja-Kaduna rail line has become an issue too many to bear. Observers are deeply worried over why the matter is not put under control.
All right, thank you for staying with us. You're watching Daybreak, reaching you live from the nation's capital in Abuja. We have in the studio a security consultant, and he is Dr. Yahuza Gates, giving us perspectives on some of these stories. Now, let's talk about, the reactions of the, Senate on all of this, and, what needs to have been in place to avoid such things. Again, we go back to the issues of whether or not we are playing lip service to some of these things, because definitely there have been signs, there have been indications, there have been, warnings that something like this could happen, but yet it doesn't look like we are learning from it, isn't it?
It's not that something like this could happen. Something like this have been happening on a daily basis. Because those people that were being attacked in Kaduna, in Sokoto, in Zamfara, in Kebbi, in Niger, and all other places, they are the same human like the human beings that were attacked on Monday. For the fact that a government is so kind of adamant, and they refuse to take the responsibility, because what I have been saying is these activities of these criminals, as a criminal and criminality, a forest criminal and criminality therapist, I have examined the forest in all parts of Nigeria, not only Nigeria, even not only northern Nigeria, in all parts of Nigeria and all parts of African states, as well as the Asian countries. And I have realized that the presence, the kind of attitudinal quantum the criminals are using is known to the people at the macro level. And these attacks, the activity started from the remotest part of our villages.
And that brings me to the issue...
To the community,
to
the towns.
To the issue of intelligence gathering. That brings me to the issue of what kind of synergy do we have between some of these local communities and our security agencies? Because certainly the attackers came from communities, they came from villages.
What we have in that regard is just like the relationship between the cat and the dog. Do you think the cat and the dog will eat in the same plate? So if the cat and the dog cannot eat in the same plate and you have only one plate, then you will never get results, because you will never get who's supposed to take what.
I mean, why should the communities have a cat and dog relationship?
Yes, simply because...
Why should we have a cat and dog relationship? I mean, we are all stakeholders in this. We are all having a part to play in this as Nigeria.
That is how most of the security personnel exhibit themselves. Let me tell you one thing. In the last 35 years to date, the recruitment being made into the security services is in mess. Why? Because those who are recruited are those who are not interested in the job. Those who applied,
all of them,
the highest percentage. That is why they are not patriotic. That is why they don't have vision. That is why they are not interested in the jobs they are doing. Remember, whenever there is a publication for the need to do the recruitment, the white head will bring his list, the local government chairman will bring a list, commissioner will bring a list, director, Mr. This, presidency, government house. So all this list are names and details of the people who the authority wants them to join the job, not that they are interested in the job.
So is this all part of the reasons why
yes, but it is.
So you're saying there's a problem with
the recruitment
from the source?
It is indeed. Because these are people that cannot dedicate themselves. And at the same time, they don't have, we are politicizing the security. There is a high level of competition and lack of synergy between the operating system of the security agencies. Right. So our intelligence is really forced.
But there are security officials who are actually committed to doing it.
Absolutely. That's why I didn't say 100%.
So let's talk about those ones.
That's why I said highest
percent. Let's talk about the enablers for those ones. Now, if you talk about, say, for instance, logistics.
So you
mentioned earlier the response of our security officials, that it took about 2 hours for them to be deployed to the scene of the attack and all of that. Now, logistically, do they have what it takes? Now, assuming I'm a security official and I'm ready to serve my country and to do the needful, do I have in place the things that I need to make me respond to some of these kind of emergencies?
If they have what it takes, as far as you ever use the train from Abuja to Kaduna or Kaduna to Abuja, you know there is usually mobile police officers, and the military, as well as the presence of the DSS inside the train. In fact, some of those who have been killed or wounded are some of the security personnel who made an attempt to use what is in their hands, the AK-47, to do the segregated shooting. Because when somebody is having 40 to 100 magazines, and you are having only 2 magazines, how do you face him? You have to do segregated. For him, he will do sporadic. You have to do and then move away and try to find a kind of a corner to hide yourself. So if at all we have those gadgets and equipment, the criminals couldn't have even have a privilege to go and even plant the explosive. Because between one station, if you move from Abuja to Kaduna, you have a number of train stations where either the train slow down or stop for a reason, or stop to drop, or stop to pick. So if you have this, if at all we have those equipment and gadgets, the surveillance equipment could have traced the presence when these guys were planting whatever. If at all we have a good tracking devices and monitors at all the stations that could have been utilized in feeding one station and another, that so people have been seen at so place around the rail line, what are they doing? And our surveillance, advanced surveillance team could have been sent easily to go and deal with them decisively. And at the same time, remember, I said, and I keep saying, these criminals, they are known, their locations is known, their hideouts, if at all there is no hard to reach or difficult terrain that I don't know in northern Nigeria. So the security personnel are handcuffed, and we don't have up to 80% of the required security personnel that we need to launch or to kind of provide security for life and property in Nigeria.
Now,
and Nasser Ahmed El-Rufai have made mention recently.
Now we've had
advocated for the need
we've
to
had
for
situations where the railway staff and the train operators will have to kind of compete with cattle on the road, cattle who are crossing the rail lines. We've had reports of when these cattle sometimes are being crushed by our trains, endangering the lives of people on the train and all of that. Now, I mean, why should that kind of a thing happen? I mean, don't we have enough fencing that will guarantee that intruders will not be able to pass through these rail lines?
Government have made provision for a budgetary allocation, and I know defense activity have started or have been made. But it's a question of quality. It's a question of who does what and at the mercy of who. Those fences, if I use my leg, pim, I'll push it down. So there is no quality. If a cow came and move around and hit the wall will collapse. Go and check the quality. I wonder when I see National Assembly or whosoever are saying that a committee should be set to check what happens to the funds being provided and released for the purpose of fencing. Is it now? Have you been sleeping in the last 7 years? So we don't have, it is negligence that gave birth to corruption. And corruption gave birth to bad leadership. And bad leadership is taking us, or rather is giving us the result of bad governance.
Doctor.
And that is why we will never succeed as far as we are not ready to fight corruption sincerely and honestly.
Doctor, a lot of reports said that apart from the explosives that were put on the track, when the attackers started to shoot, their focus was on the business coach. Can you speak to that? Was there a particular reason the focus
absolutely.
on that?
Absolutely. I have been saying that definitely there must be a kind of collaboration and partnership between some of the, that's why I talk about sabotage. There must be personnel within the system that are sabotaging the efforts of the government. Simply because, let me tell you, when I saw the manifest this morning or yesterday night, the manifest being released by Nigeria Railway Corporation, I laughed. Nigeria Railway Corporation and Federal Ministry of Transport and Federal Government of Nigeria is trying to justify that we, the elites, or we, the leaders, we are considering the large population as stupid and idiots.
How is that?
Simply because, if you know, those who are using the train knew it is very clear that more than 60 to 70% of the tickets is being bought from touts, errands, and personnel of the Nigeria Railway Corporation. Not really at the counter. 3 days before you...
The whole process is online, so how...
That is not true.
The process is online.
They normally
I have booked for the train online
I want to tell you that 99 and more than 60 to 70% of the tickets are not being bought through the online.
Was that in the
because
past
these
or
guys,
currently?
up to the day when the attack happens. So you are a lady called Amina or Ungozi, but your ticket will be reading Muhammad or John. He is John or Ahmed, but his ticket will be reading Jimmai.
Dr. Huza, I know that
for this there is a lot of corruption.
I know that we have had times where the website of the Railway Corporation is down.
Forget
so for
about
those moments, we have had situations where there will be chaos, where there will be racketeering, where there will be people struggling to purchase tickets and all that. But for most of the time, the process is online.
I have seen a lot of people buy their tickets online as well.
I have justifications, and it's because I have evidence. I generated evidences, and I have so many evidences that I can present when the necessary, when the need arises.
It happens once or twice doesn't mean
not
that's
once or twice. It's daily. Go to the train station and see. Go on Friday. Go on Saturday. Go on Wednesday, and go to Kaduna on Sunday. Go to Kaduna on Monday. Go to Kaduna on Wednesday and see how people are struggling. You will see generals, commissioners of police, directors of the SISS, staff of the NIA, staff of the civil defense, staff of other security operatives. When they came to train station, you will see the touts moving around them, exchanging.
So you are alleging that there
I'm
is
not
some
alleging, I have facts.
I'm
not alleging, I have evidence.
So what you are saying is that
the ticket of 2,600 is being sold at the rate of 3,500.
So you are saying that the bandits have informants maybe from within some of these people.
It is very clear. If not because they have informants from within those people and from within the train, probably some of them might have even boarded the train to monitor so that they can provide updates through either SMS, WhatsApp chats, or any other medium that you will not understand, or any other language that I and you may not understand. And they have been providing information and updates to those culprits. This is where we are. Coach number 15, coach number 20 is a business class. Coach number this is economy. Coach number this, you have crowd of common man, nail cutters, wheelbarrow pushers, and the other coach, you have directors, you have commissioners, you have former deputy governor, and so on and so forth. You have managing director of the Bank of Agriculture, or you have this and that. So that is why they targeted those coaches first. There must be an internal person. And that is the reason why I said banditry and all this criminality happening in North Central and Northwestern part of the country is not only being perpetrated by the Fulanis alone. There are others, those among Yorubas, among Igbos, among Hausas, among Nufes, among the people living within the region. And we know them, and the security agencies know them. But why? Because government have not in any way kind of punish someone in public to serve as a deterrence for others to take a lesson. There are a number of referrals we made for security agencies to make an arrest. They arrested armed traders, they arrested armed transporters, they arrested some of the bandits. The Zamfara State Elders Forum have made an official presentation of complaint that they have directed the arrest of Mr. ABCD, and after 2-3 months, they will see him coming back. It is either the armed transporters, it is either the armed movers, because armed movers and armed transporters, to me, are more dangerous than those culprits who are using the arms. Armed importers and armed transporters are very, very dangerous. To me, they are more dangerous than the bandits, because it is unless and until you bring the arm, that is when the bandits will have access to it to utilize.
But the thing is that those armed transporters and and all of that seem to have a field day, moving around the country, isn't it? Especially if you look at the picture that you painted earlier, that even with this kind of situation, happening, nobody will stop you on the road, maybe even at in late hours, to say, hey, who are you? Let's know who you are.
Let me tell you one thing.
All of that. And then if you look at the porosity of our border as well, so armed proliferation may not end, from what we are seeing.
In January, February, and March, and early days of March, I traveled through some part of West African states. I drove myself. I drove to Niger, Burkina Faso, Benin, and Mali. And I move around. I was invited to present papers on security and intelligence by some institutions and some groups. And I use my own car and I drove myself. Wherever I go outside Nigeria, I will see the checkpoint, the security, either police, immigration, or whosoever, I will park and go to them. And that's how other commuters do. But in Nigeria, it's a different case. Before I left Nigeria, I started my journey from Auchi, because I made a paper presentation in Auchi, and I visited a friend in Lokoja. I spent 2 days in Lokoja with a friend who is a former retired permanent secretary. So since he retired in the last 5 years, I have not been able to visit him. So I stopped over, and I also started, after spending those days, I moved. And when I started moving, I didn't come into Abuja, I moved straight. I had a paper presentation in Zaria before I proceed. So even those commuters, those so-called checkpoints that you have, in the daybreak light, I want to tell you, the only thing you see, even the stop and search you have, they are only there to extort money, even in the daybreak. They are not asking, they are not checking who are you, what are you carrying. Even the drivers that are having loads, the only thing they do is, even before they arrive, before the arrival at the point of the checkpoint, they already have their 200 naira, 50 naira, 20 naira notes. And some even use a new note as an act. So you will see the security, either the police or whosoever, dancing. At the immigration post. 99.9% of it. Go and see what is happening. When immigrants come in, do you know that even among some of our personnel in Nigeria, we have Nigerians who are serving, who rose to the rank of inspectors, who rose to the rank of assistant superintendent in the police and other services. I have evidences. So they are not, even if they are present, they are not doing their work. Simply because if you want to see a fully kitted, organized Nigerian security personnel, go to government house. Go to the orderly of the local government chairman, orderly of the commissioner. You will see their face is shining. But those security who are supposed to man our roads, who are supposed to man our borders, they don't even, when you look at their uniform, it's padded up. When you look at them physically, they are shredding and they are shivering.
We have to end this discussion. Thank you so much for coming on the program. We do appreciate your thoughts and your perspectives. Because of our time, we have to end this. Very, very interesting thoughts, really. For our viewers, in case you've missed, part of the discussions, you can always go to our YouTube channel and also our, social media platforms to have, all the details there. With that, we have come to the end of the program for today.
Thank you, Doctor, for coming.
Thank you for having me. It's been a great pleasure.
I hope you come any other time we invite you.
Any other time, once I'm available, because I travel a lot.
All right.
All right. My name is Ayuba Ilya.
Thanks for spending this part of your morning with us. My name is Stella Yaji. Keep a day with us, same time, same station tomorrow. Bye. Bye.